18 through 21, Jesus is talking to the disciples. Is everybody there? Verse 18 says this: once when Jesus was praying in private and his disciples were with him, he asked them, "Who do the crowds say I am?" And they replied, "Well, some say you're John the Baptist, and others say you're Elijah, and still others that one of the prophets of long ago and you came back to life." "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" And Peter answered, "The Christ, the Son of God." I'm going to hit some sore spots here today, but that's kind of what I'm known for. Because, you know, I don't want to tickle ears and just give you a really good... We want to deal with issues so that God can get us on our destiny. He can get us on our way, correct? So today, this is what I feel that we need to look at so that we can understand what kind of woman we are. And then you can go back to your husband, you go back to your families, because I could just go from cover to cover and tell you what God says about you. And I promise you, you will walk out of here and not one word will go in your spirit. Guarantee you. So that's not the path I'm going to take. Is that okay? Yes. That's all right? Okay, good. Now listen to this. Who do you say you are? I'm not going to tell you who you are. Who do you say you are? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Who are you? See, because there's plenty of people around us telling us who we are. Amen? Some good things and some not so good things. I hear all of it. But interestingly, when Jesus said, "Who do the crowds say I am?" The crowds that you are hanging around with are the very people that you're going to believe what they have to say about you. Got it? Who do the crowds say you are? So I can ask you this evening, ladies, who do you say you are? And probably your first response is going to be what someone else has labeled you, or what someone else has said about you. Correct? Am I wrong or am I right? The statements I hear, well, you know, people usually say, it was interesting, I heard someone, we walked in here, say, what do people, I thought it was kind of funny, they said, what do people usually say who you are, what are about you? How do they describe you? I thought that was an interesting thing to hear walking in here. It's like, that's exactly what I'm teaching on. That's exactly it. Who do you say you are? And the crowds said, Peter said, "This is what I've heard, Jesus. This is the crowd. This is what the running crowd says about you." They said you're John the Baptist. So you tell people, because who was John the Baptist? He told people to, you know, turn or burn, right? Get it right. Be delivered. Here's your sin. You know, deal with the sin and get saved. Or Elijah called fire from heaven, did some awesome miracles. Prophets are never people that anybody understands. You're Elijah. Or I love this one. Or you're one of the prophets, you came back to life. People say stupid things. People say some really stupid things. He's a prophet that came back to life. So who are these crowds? Who are these crowds? Who are these crowds that you're hanging around with? So we can't ask you, who do you say you are? Because everyone will have their opinion of who they are. You're going to hear all the gossip about yourself. And I'm telling you, you have to make wise choices concerning who's your crowd. And the closer you get to Christ, I guarantee your crowds are going to get this big. I know. I heard that. Your friends, the close ones, the ones that you speak your heartfelt sins and weaknesses and gifts, and they don't think but you can tell them everything. You could probably count them on a hand. But who are the crowds you're with saying who you are right now? And the crowds are multiples of people. There are people that we associate with work. There are people maybe that every day we happen to see at different events that we go to or different things that we're doing. And you seem to just kind of gather towards that one crowd. Or maybe where you sat today, these are the women that you always sit with. Who do they say you are? I'll tell you right now, if I ask the women that are closest to me and they say one negative thing about me, I'll tell you they will not be in my crowd. If that's the way they speak about me. I'm not talking about the ones that you keep close that, keep you accountable. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that you keep close to you that say, that was really stupid. I don't know why are you dressing like that? Why did you say that? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Oh, you tell them a big dream you want to do and they say, oh, well, who says God called you to do that? That's what the crowd says. Because anytime that God's given you a vision and you can't do it, that's God. If you can't do it, that's from God. Guarantee it. It looks absolutely ridiculous and there's no way to put it together. Because he'll get the glory. So who do the crowd say you are? Start thinking about that. The ones that are closest to me, what do they say about me? What am I listening to? Whose report are you going to believe? Who is the crowd? Because he gave 3 different types of examples when we hear Peter's response. Have you ever done that? Maybe gone and done something, or maybe like the worship team, or you put on a PowerPoint at work, and you stop and you go, so what'd you think about that? Does anybody care what other people think at all, or no? Oh, okay, I was just wondering if I was just the only one. Okay. So when you do something, you ask, how was that? And they say something negative. Who do the crowd say you are? There were 3 types of people. The one, obviously John the Baptist, so this particular crowd obviously felt that this Christ was about, seeing people's sins, pulling out people's sins. That was their focus. The other one, pretty much Elijah, well, this guy's just all into miracles, and that's pretty much all he's doing. This guy raised himself from the dead. That type of crowd probably's got their hands in a little bit of everything. They call themselves Christians, they're sitting in church, but they're probably reading their horoscopes, and they're probably watching stuff that they shouldn't be watching, and they're gathering all of their information, and then your crowd tells you who you are. Because the information that they've gathered, that's what they're speaking from. So what crowd are you listening to?